So maybe he was whiny over this week. Just not being naughty and being whiny are two different things. One is just being whiny. Okay, is that okay so far? Are you sure you understand why the third row is still okay? Okay, so now we move on and talk about the second case. The second case is really the worst case. If you are a parent, never use only if, okay? And I will show you why. Okay, only if Luke is naughty. I used to use a better example, but this we'll have to do. He has no we time. Okay, so same thing here. We have the four possible cases. But we have to figure out whether I was consistent with my words again this time. Okay, so the first line is saying Luke is actually naughty during the week and he was not allowed to play with the Wii over the weekend. Am I consistent with my words? I said only if Luke is naughty he will have no Wii time. I'm still good, right? I'm still consistent. True. Okay? The second case is Luke was naughty over the weekend, during the week, and yet I still say, well, I guess I'll let you slide, I'll let you play with the game system. Was I consistent with my words? I'm consistent with my words. Okay, so I'll go back and explain why that is the case. Okay, I'll go back and actually explain why that is the case. Okay, the third case. The third case is Luke is not naughty over during the week. Okay, so he did not get a red flag, from me over the week, and yet he was not allowed to play with the Wii system. Okay, am I consistent with my words this time?
No, you don't have the right to take it away.
Aha, because I said only if. In other words, the only reason I can punish him, and not let him play the Wii system is if he was naughty over the week. He can be as whiny as he wants, but that is not a reason to get him punished because I said only if he is naughty. Okay, so this is the only time I'm not consistent with my words. And the last one is quite obvious. Luke was not naughty and he was allowed to play with the Wii system. Hey, that's fine, no problem. Okay. So are we okay so far? Maybe not, because the second row is still kind of, I'm not so sure about that. If you read this sentence in using the sufficiency versus necessary, it becomes like this. Luke being naughty, this time is a necessary condition to have Wii time revoked. In other words, there are no other reason why he can have Wii time revoked. He must have done that. He must have been naughty during the week in order to have Wii time revoked. Okay? But why? But how come this is still good? How come he was naughty over the weekend? He was naughty during the week, and over the weekend he was still able to play the Wii, and I'm still consistent with my word. But just because it's necessary doesn't mean it's sufficient. Maybe he helped up with dishes, and I said, well, since you helped up with the dishes, you're good. Okay? Because I only spelled out a necessary condition here. It does not imply it is sufficient. Is that okay? The last case, we have just enough time for that. The last one is to use the word if and, or the phrase if and only if. If and only if Luke is naughty, N-A-U-G-H-T-Y, he has no Wii time. Okay, so what do you think this time the true and falses should be? He was naughty. I do not let him play with the Wii over the weekend. I'm consistent. Good. He was naughty, and yet I let him slide to play with the Wii. Not good. He was not naughty, and yet I still punish him and not let him play with the Wii. False. Okay. What about the last one? He was not naughty and he's playing the Wii over the weekend. It's good. Okay. Okay. Do you see, the differences between the words if, only if, and the phrase if and only if? Now, yep, go ahead.
Would that just make if and only if necessary and sufficient?
Yes. So if I use the words, if I try to use the words necessary versus sufficient, this time Luke being naughty is a necessary and sufficient condition to have Wii time revoked. Now, what does that relate to the stuff that we were just talking about? Now, let me just make the connection, before we move on. Okay. So let me just use this bar here. So this means that x is greater than k is a sufficient condition for x is greater than or equal to k. Does it make sense? If I know that x is greater than k, is it always the case that x is greater than or equal to k? Okay. What about is necessary? Okay. It is actually the other way around, right? X is greater than or equal to k is a necessary condition for x is just greater than k. I missed something here. Nope, I did not. Does it make any sense? That x is greater than or equal to k is a necessary condition for x is greater than k.
It can't be equal. If x equals k, it can't be greater than k.
But necessary does not mean that it has to make the second one true. Okay, remember, with the necessary condition here, the only time it can be false is when you have the first one false, the second one being true. Can I have this one being false and this one being true? Nope, it is not possible. Okay. Now the last one, how can I use an example for the last one? The last one is x is greater than k is a sufficient and necessary condition for not x is less than or equal to k, because they mean exactly the same thing. So every time I use sufficient and necessary or if and only if, it means the two sides mean exactly the same thing. If this is true, the other one has to be true. If this is false, the other one has to be false, and vice versa. Okay? When you use if, it only says that if this is true, the other one has to be true, but it doesn't say anything of what happens when this one is false. The other one can be true, can be false, we don't care. Okay? So it is important to understand all these terms, because when it comes to our earlier discussion, it is already using these concepts, because which one is implying which one. I will just add one more thing. I know you guys need to leave. I will just add one more thing, because I just want to make sure that you can relate this to usual words that we use in English. So this one is also saying Luke being naughty implies he will get punished. Okay? Now the other one is different. The other one is saying Luke being naughty is implied by Luke being punished. Okay, now that is that's a very strong statement, because if you come to my house, one weekend, and Luke was not allowed to play with the Wii system, you know that he must have been naughty during the week. That is what the second statement is saying. Okay, the last statement is equivalency. Okay, basically, one can only happen if and only if the other one is also true. Okay, so we'll kind of stop right now, and we'll pick up from here and also talk about the practice test on Wednesday.